President Obama is distancing himself from any responsibility for the election of Donald Trump. You heard some of that earlier in James's piece. The outgoing president is on his final foreign tour, and he's getting a lot of questions about how last week's election could have happened. Correspondent Kevin Corke reports tonight from Athens, Greece.
In what's become an all-too-familiar scene in modern Greece, the streets of historic Athens were marred by demonstrations tonight, protesters marching, at least in part, against the visit of President Obama, the first American president to come to the country in 17 years. The unrest in stark contrast to the president's arrival ceremony, but in many ways a symbolic reflection of the unease here, especially about the U.S. role in Europe under a Trump presidency. Those concerns forcing Mr. Obama into the awkward role of ambassador for a man he once said was unfit for the presidency. And now the president is left fielding questions about whether or not he feels responsible for the rise of Donald Trump.
Earlier this year, Matt Lauer asked you if you believed you helped create the environment for Donald Trump to run.
Talk to me if he wins. Then we'll have a conversation about how responsible I feel about it.
I wonder, do you feel any responsibility for the election of Donald Trump?
Well, first of all, I think it's fair to say that I was surprised by the election results, and I've said so. I still don't feel responsible for what the president-elect says or does. But I do feel a responsibility as President of the United States to make sure that I facilitate a good transition.
Comments like this.
It's obsolete, and we're spending too much, and everyone's ripping us off. You have 28 countries, they're ripping us off.
Then candidate Trump's view of NATO, just one of many areas concerning European leaders.
It continues to be a cornerstone of our security that is unwavering, and it is something that provides significant continuity, even as we see a transition of governments in the United States.
Including future U.S. positions on security partnerships, establishing and honoring deals on trade and the climate, the fight against ISIS in Iraq and Syria, and the migrant refugee crisis, which has hit Greece particularly hard. For some, concern has given way to a wait-and-see attitude.
What we should be doing is build bridges, not walls.
Brett, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg says that Europe needs strong American leadership in the face of the greatest threat to Western security in a generation, a not-so-veiled reference to an increasingly aggressive Russia, the same Russia that President-elect Trump has suggested he'd like to improve relations with. Brett?
Kevin Corke traveling with the president in Athens, Greece. Kevin, thank you.